Just check everything, make sure all is well here. I think we're good. Let me say good day to you all. Just check everything, make sure all is well here. I think we're good. Let me say good day to you all. Just check everything, make sure all is well here. Live tonight as well. We're good. Regularly scheduled. Let me say good day to you all. Just check everything, make sure all is well here. All right, I'm going to pause this so I'm pretty sure you can hear it. I was just making sure that it was integrated well, and it is. So now I can move this to the side. Of course, you won't see all this. This is just my own housekeeping here. And then let's go ahead and share the screen and move this over here. So just in case I need that as well. And here we go. So I, again, am Tigress Sydney Acute McDaniel, your host of Evolve Weekly, and this 52-week series on how to implement a more perfect union. We are going to cover Idaho today. I don't know why. It is just hugely on my, my intuitive aura today. And that's what I mean about I don't know why. Of course, I know why we're going to cover it because it's a 52-week series and we're covering all the states, right? But why it was so forward, intuitively forward for me, I'm not really sure. But I always do tend to trust my intuition, as should you, especially if you're drinking water, right? And living holistically like you love yourself, right? So that said, let's lead with the affirmation and head on over to Idaho. May I further enlighten and encourage our individual and collective understanding on the topics that I will cover, and may I not cause further divide. All right, let's head on over to Idaho, y'all. Idaho. Here we go. Is it sharing? Because I can't see. It's giving me nothing here. I guess we're gonna go in Safari. Hold it, hold it. Oh, there we go. I'm tripping. We're sharing the whole desktop, y'all. Okay, let me move out of that. Save. All right. Get out of that. Just close some windows since we're gonna go do a full share. Not sure if I want to, I guess we do need to go into, let's go to Safari. Okay, so here we go. All right. What you see and what I see, let me check it here. Make sure we're seeing the same thing. Live tonight as well. Let me refresh this and see what we get. Sorry. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, okay. We're doing good here. Now, all right. Now we're cooking with, what do they say? They say grease. I will say, we're gonna change it up a little bit. Now we're cooking with grapeseed oil, honey. Okay, so let's head on over to Idaho. Idaho State Legislature. Okay. All right, just that easy. And again, just a bit of a explainer, if you will. We do this very organically. The survey is all about our current state of political affairs, surveying the general, not only partisan culture, if you will, of each state's legislature or legislative body. We're also surveying the diversity and the potentiality for diversity. So whereas it's very straightforward and there are plenty of research studies that show, that demonstrate pretty clearly the partisan majority for each state. We have that. We don't need to be redundant in our study, if you will. What instead we're doing is taking a deeper look and getting an idea of the cultural makeup, the demographics, the gender diversity, the ethnic diversity, which can be visually observed, right? Now, in some states where there is a just straightforward historical and literal predominance of maybe Caucasian individuals, then you may not have that same diversity as you may have in some of the other states that have the ethnic diversity. But we still should see gender diversity and age diversity in those states. And those are the things that we're taking a deeper look into, because those things make a difference. And of course, the entire premise of A More Perfect Union is inspired in part, and greatly so, by Thomas Jefferson's assertions, right, that we should review and revise the Constitution every 19 years, I believe he says. I would suggest, well, every 19 years seems valid, but I would say every decade, because generationally, we are collectively beginning to obliterate invalid teachings, inapplicable teachings, inapplicable social norms or societal norms, inapplicable, I can't even say the word today. And we're not gonna cut it out because I'm human. So, every once in a while, I'm going to stumble over my words. Inapplicable ideologies. I dare even implement religious principles or the incorporation thereof into our legal system and our societal policies, if you will, regulatory at the county, city, and state and federal government levels. All of these things matter. They do, they matter. They inseparably matter. And someone long time ago before me thought that it might be a good idea to take a look at the Constitution every once in a while and update it, because it probably won't fit future generations well to just have them still abide by the laws of the land aforetime. Think about it, like with the Code of Hammurabi. Good gracious, if we were dealing with an eye for an eye, and especially considering our corrupt issues with our legal system, honey, a lot of us, whether innocent or not, innocent or guilty, a lot of us will be walking around here with no eyes. and I mean that in the most loving way, and myself included. You know what I mean? I mean, we know that I've dealt with my share of wrongful allegations and even the wrongful conviction. So the Code of Hammurabi no longer applies. So if we can revise our societal norms and policies and laws from what it used to be as it relates to the Code of Hammurabi, or even the 10 Commandments, then why can't we do it now? It's a very simple concept. It should not evoke anger. It should not evoke discomfort. And if it does, then like my dad always taught me, standards only offend those who have none. And it makes no sense for those individuals. Of course, it makes sense because we know that they are just, you get what I'm going to say when I get there. All right. It makes no sense, however, commonsensically, it's irrational for someone in office to validly utter that the laws need to stay the same into perpetuity. Those are the individuals that we know immediately, sir or ma'am, you can't stay. You got to give up your seat because this is not going to work. Because just straightforward wise, we know that things change. If we just talk about it in the simplest form of it all, things change, dynamics change, needs and needs, agriculture, industrial, environmental, health-wise, medical, things change. Look at the pandemic. The pandemic has changed so many things that we do now. And it has been a launch pad for so many different standardizations. Think about how we now handle going to a grocery store as opposed to before. The safety measures that have been increased and implemented, those are policy matters. Those are regulatory. Those are societal norms. Now it is a societal norm not to, if you're not vaccinated, and even remember, if you are vaccinated, you can spread the virus. So keep that in mind. So you wearing your mask is relevant in that regard as well, especially if you are asymptomatic. You see, because if you're asymptomatic, you generally don't know that you have the virus activated in you because you're not experiencing symptoms, but you can then spread it. And then it can be an infection for someone else. They can effectually catch it from you. So these are things that are policy based. You see what I'm saying? And of course, we have to change. We have to adapt to these things. And it's extremely commonsensical. And this is why this survey is necessary. And I noticed that it had not been done. If it has been done or it is being done, please connect me with those individuals. I would love to lend both my expertise and my humanity toward their efforts, and maybe we can work together so that we can implement a more perfect union. Let me go to, before we continue with Idaho, let me go over here to let's pull up Thomas Jefferson, just so that you have the reference. I try every once in a while to refer back to the mission vision of this series, so that if you join me at any point during this this journey, that you will be able to understand exactly our purpose, right? And that you won't have to go back to the very first video, without having to use too much time of each hour-long session. I make an effort to do that, okay? All right, so a more perfect union. All right. And here it is. And actually, I will go ahead and post this. I'll do it later so it doesn't take more time from this session. But I'll post this again on my Facebook wall so that it will be readily available for your reference, okay? And let's see if we can get straight to it. Let's see. I'm trying to get to it. I may not be able to get to. Let's see, articles and essays. I mean, this is the Library of Congress, so of course this is very reputable, but I need the actual, let's see, let's go here. Maybe we can find it here. Okay, let's skip back and let's see if I can, I want to find it. Let's see, these are archives. Also promulgated by the government, you see here. So again, because we intentionally select verifiable sources, okay? And they're not always from the government, just to clarify that as well. I'm looking for the letter that he wrote. Let's see. Let's try another search. Okay, let's see. All right, should be here. Yeah, I believe we're here. And you can see he was very, very vocal. Like here, postscript, the instability of our laws is really an immense evil. I think it would be well to provide in our constitutions that there shall always be a 12-month between the engrossing a bill and passing it, that it should then be offered to its passage without changing a word, and that if circumstances should be thought to require a speedier passage, it should take 2/3 of both houses instead of a bare majority. So this actually answers another question that comes up a lot on the campaign trail as far as timeliness of ratification of laws, right? The passing of a law. So, we scream collectively, because I've also been one of those frontline protesters, like, you can do it now. You can do it now. You can change the law now. We want change now. Keep in mind that the same vehicle of legislation, right? The tool of legislation, TOOL, the process of legislation, ratifying a law, can be used for good. And just as Thomas Jefferson has pointed out, it can also be used for evil. And this is why the expedition of ratifying a law was pumped, on the brakes. They pumped the brakes on that. He's suggesting, hey, we need to pump the brakes on that, because if we allow for quick legislation, then it can be used for evil purposes as well, right? And some don't understand this process, but it is much easier to ratify a law than to amend a standing statute. Please understand that amending those core statutes, that is a much longer process. Okay. All right. So I was trying to find it. Let me see if I try one other thing. That should be the letter though. Madison papers. Let me go here. Author. He wrote a lot, as you see. And actually I'll post that as well so that you have that. Let me see if I can, my apologies, because I didn't have it. 19 years. There we go. Thomas Jefferson gave the Constitution 19 years. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, Princeton is also reputable. Let's see if we can, there we go. From the archives. I thought it was to Madison. Yeah, to James Madison from Thomas Jefferson. Okay, maybe I overlooked it here. Give me 1 second to see if I can find it. Oh, gracious. All right, I think we're getting to it. Because he speaks on debt. He speaks on a lot of different matters. Very rational thinker. Let me see. Here we go. All right, finally. On similar ground. So in the first paragraphs, Thomas Jefferson speaks about the fact that he speaks on debts, and that debts cannot be validly held for more than 19 years, just on commonsensical rationalization, right? Because it wouldn't apply, and it would seem jeopardous, you know what I mean, to continue to hold someone accountable 2 decades later for the same debt, right? Okay. On similar ground, it may be proved that no society can make a perpetual constitution or even a perpetual law. The earth belongs always to the living generation. And he defines this living generation above, which is like that immediate time frame surrounding any period of time. You know, that sounds a bit tautological, which is kind of using the same word to define that word, but you understand what I'm saying, right? So for our living generation, it would be a 10-year period, or at best, as he suggested, it would be a 19-year period, right? Okay. And with consideration of the new generations that become adults. So the children that become adults, we can't hold them, right? I'm 44. My son has new ideas. He will continue to have new ideas. He will continue to experience things that I may not experience. We may have similar experiences, but we are entering a different phase, climate-wise and politically wise, and in so many different ways, right? Religious wise, how people practice religion, how they interact with one another, just in a physical, social manner, right? Because of the pandemic and because of the impacts of climate change, and maybe even dietary wise, just so many different ways, right? So his immediate living generation, you know, in adulthood will be that it will be relevant for that time period. Okay, he continues on. They may manage it then and what proceeds from it as they please during their usufruct, right? They are masters too of their own persons and consequently may govern them as they please. But persons and property made the sum of the objects of government. The Constitution and the laws of their predecessors extinguished then in their natural course. They come to an end in their natural course of that 2 decades. This is not a new concept. This is rational, right? And it makes no sense. I'm so concerned with Great Britain, and I'm glad that, just even though there's so much, so many layers, right, to the issues that persist in Great Britain, I am proud and at least can appreciate the Brexit because they've been subjected, literally subjected. They are the subjects to the Queen, subjected to whatever they establish. And a lot of it has not changed for centuries, not just decades, not 2 decades, not this 19 years, centuries. You cannot do that to a people without the people revolting. Every constitution then and every law naturally expires at the end of 19 years. If it be in force longer, it is an act of force and not of right. It may be said that the succeeding generation exercising in fact the power of repeal, this leaves them as free as if the Constitution or law had been expressly limited to that 19 years only. In the first place, this objection admits the right in proposing an equivalent, but the power of repeal is not an equivalent. It might be indeed if every form of government was so perfectly contrived that the will of the majority could always be obtained fairly and without impediment. So what they're saying there, just to break it down, remember I speak about the vehicle of legislation all the time. And we're gonna head on over to Idaho because I still feel very strongly about that. And we're going to spend a core 30 minutes on it. The vehicle of legislation also includes the tool of repeal. And so even way back then, Thomas Jefferson is saying, even having that safeguard, if you will, of repeal, which is the removal, the eradication, the erasure, deletion. Think of it as deletion. If you've seen the bodies of statutes, you'll see there are right now attorneys who work on that purpose alone, repealing laws that no longer apply, and there are lots. Take all the time you need and visit any of the state legislative sites, and you'll find their body of statutes and just scroll through them and you'll see repeal after repeal. Some are complete chapters that have been repealed. Okay. So deletion, yeah, it's like, okay, so think of it as a literal eraser on a pencil. Yeah, okay, great. The repeal exists, but there's a process to get to the repeal, especially if you're dealing with what he said, corrupt governments. Only if our government were perfectly contrived, if we were perfectly ethical, is basically what he's saying. If we were perfectly objective, perfectly fair, then repeal would be an absolute wonderful tool. But it's not. I'm going to copy paste this and you continue reading this. This was in the 1800s. Honey. Oh, sorry. Look at me. I thought I'm going because remember it is closer to the ratification of the Constitution. I'm tripping. 1776, 1789. It's 2021, and there are legislators right now who think that laws should not ever change. Okay. So you see the purpose of this is vital. inseparably vital. Okay, let's go on over to Idaho. Ooh, honey. All right, so what we do initially is we do a quick tally. So, and we also immediately survey upon landing on the page, right? Landing, because that's why it's called a landing page. When you hit the button, and they call it navigation in the web design. Navigation means you move from one page or one section of the internet to another. So you navigate and then you land on the page, boom. Okay, so we're here and we survey the look of the page. Is it appealing? Generally, I take no issue with this. I actually find it appealing. I like the color use. I like that they have the kind of muted color for the kind of the design of the page itself. And then for the functionality, I like the font. I like that they have the pop here. They really want you, here, look, here are the real top reasons why we believe people search, or the top things that we need people to know. And they have them very clearly and visually appealing here with the black background, white lettering, boom, legislative sessions, 2021 interim. And that's very important. And I've not seen a website yet really highlight the interim legislative college for each state. So I like this. Now there's a caveat. I have, however, seen a link, a hyperlink on each of the pages, on each of these states' websites for the interim ruling legislators, which are typically the same legislators from the 2020, right? But there have been some that have resigned, some that have been removed, some were acting a plumb fool. Check out some of my videos and you'll see some have been literally removed, voted out, and deemed unfit to continue in their role. Okay, let's see here. So I like the fact that they got that going on. Boom, Senate, House. So what we do is we take a tally. So let's go to Senate. Boom and boom. All right, so yes, we have a presumption and we have assumptions. For the purpose of this series and this study, I'm a scientist and an economist. We have to go through quite a bit of academic rigor as it relates to statistical analysis and econometrics and research, right? Okay, so that said, we're not doing a complete academic study. However, the same jargon, the same vocabulary will be incorporated for our purposes. So the term assumption, don't at me and say, okay, well, you assume this and you shouldn't assume this. And I thought you was a scientist. And no, don't do that, okay? We're talking about scientific assumptions, all right? So scientific assumptions, they are going to be greater and more closely connected to established facts, okay? They are right under established facts if you're going to do kind of like this gradation, if you're going to categorize them for layman purposes, just for public, clarification, right? So what that means is, and there are many times where our scientific assumptions are already established facts that are still subject to future study and, possible new discoveries on the same topic. One such example is the theories for the beginning or the creation of the universe. There are well-established theories and even established facts on that subject matter. However, that does not stop scientists from further research into those matters and hopefully new discoveries on that. Otherwise, they prove it to be true. Okay, so because that's what we do. Okay. Now, Okay. All right. So the point I'm making is that our scientific assumptions they also include demographics for different states. So we know that Idaho is predominantly Caucasian. We know that. Now, I have established this already. We've already covered this, so I'm not going to do it today. But normally what I've done just to iterate the validity of those scientific assumptions, right? Those, and now I can just say assumptions because that's what we're referring to for this platform, right? We're not talking about the one where you make an ass out of you and me. For this platform, I have been going over to the census.gov and showing the literal demographic makeup for a state if I project this assumption of a predominant ethnic group, okay? We're not gonna do it today because we shouldn't need to do it. Okay, so we're gonna go on over here. And even though we know that, okay, boom, predominantly Caucasian or predominantly white, I don't like white and black, I don't like those terms, but you know, I understand the applicability, so again, don't at me. All right, that said, we still need to see diversity. Diversity is diversity, diversity is diversity, honey. We need to see gender diversity. We need to see age diversity, okay? Because most of us, we're not just gonna have this, you know, the great migration of beautifully melanated folk in Idaho tomorrow. It's probably not gonna happen. It's probably not gonna happen in a year. So, but when I say so, give me a second. So erase the so take a little mark and you cross that out, okay? Instead, however, considering that their makeup is already predominantly Caucasian, and considering that they are a state within the Union, voluntarily so, right? Because that's the whole point of the United States of America, right? And none of them, even though they add some of these states with lots of racist old white men, they talk good game, honey. They talk so much good game, like they just feel like they can do whatever. The states have sovereignty. We can do whatever we want to. We are us, right? But they ain't leaving the Union. Have you seen them leave the Union? That's what, if we see one of these states leave the Union, then they can tout sovereignty, honey. But otherwise, they are subject to the Union. Okay. All right. So that said, they need, because they are a part of this process, and because whatever legislation happens in their state, which I keep saying over and over and over again, whatever legislation happens in their state, it does have an impact on our legislation as a whole, both indirectly and directly. So the things that happen at the county and the city and the state level, they definitely have an impact also on the federal, okay? And inseparably so. Again, it may be small and indirect in some instances, and then other instances, it may be direct and a huge issue. You've heard of case law. When cases, a lot more people are learning about those things. When a case is ruled upon and a judge has an opinion, it becomes, published, right? And then it becomes a basis for future decisions in similar cases. And then what did we just find out? That even Thomas Jefferson admitted to in 1789, that the things that we do can be motivated by evil and good, or, evil or good. We're dealing with that now with the Roe versus Wade. The Wade, that's a perfect example. When Texas makes a decision as a state, these things then impact our legislation as a whole. So we need to know what the states is doing, honey. We need to take a closer look. We need to be in a business because it's our business. We need to be in a business like this. What y'all doing over there? What y'all doing over there? We want to know. All right. So we're going to count them up. Here we go. All right, so we're here. We're gonna go here, and that's not a good sign. That picture is terrible. That picture is scary. Is even for somebody that's free like me. That picture. Did you see it? Let's go back to that picture. Is terrifying, honey. Oh Lord, okay, here we go. So we're gonna. I'm not sure where we began. Uh-oh, did I lose? You got to be kidding me. Sharing pause. Bring your window back. I think because I got a phone call on my, let's hope that I didn't lose it. Let's see. Lord have mercy. Zoom. Let's go to Safari. Seems all right. Give me 1 second to make sure that we haven't, I haven't lost you. Let me go over here. Okay, let me go to home. And I should see me live. Yep, okay, so we're still here. Woo! Honey. Where we haven't, let me refresh it and make sure. We're here. Yeah, it looks like we're still up. You let me know. Hopefully nothing went wrong. Okay. All right, 17 minutes. Let's get it. Okay, let me go to home. So we're gonna. And I should see me live. Yep. Okay. So we're still here. Woo! Yeah. Honey. Where we haven't. Let me refresh it and make sure. Okay. And I actually heard myself catch up, so we're good to go. Let me just pull back up, just to verify there. Okay. All righty. So now this I can appreciate. This is this. This actually, okay, so this is terrifying. This right here, this picture. But this actually sets me at ease, at least a little bit. Reason being is because this is what we've been looking for on these websites. The makeup of their culture. So yeah, they're telling us they have 28 Republicans, they have 7 Democrats, 25 men, and 10 women. Maybe intuitively, you see what I'm saying? Some might be up. And remember, I told you that yes, our scientific assumption for this platform is that generally democratic principles are on the right side of justice, and generally Republican ideologies, right, are on the wrong side of justice. How and which and ever. I've learned over and over again in my life, and it was teaching, intentional infusing. I can't even call it teaching because they reiterated it so much. I'm a military brat. My dad was 82nd Airborne, and he was free. His family was out of Nyack, New York, of Haitian descent. My mom, Native American, and African American. Family originates from Darlington, South Carolina. Cherokee is a tribe. And they always taught me that everybody who looks like you is not for you. And on the flip side, everybody who's for you, right? Everybody who's against you, right? You get the juxtapose. Basically, what they're saying is that just because someone doesn't share my ethnic background doesn't mean that they are necessarily against me. And I shouldn't move in the world and interact with people with the assumption that they mean me harm just because they don't share my ethnicity, or my thought process, my culture, my religion, my preferences. You see what I mean? And these are just general open-mindedness, free thinking principles of love, right? So what I'm getting at is that just because someone's Republican doesn't mean that they're on the wrong side of justice. Some just really have more traditional value systems that are based in, most often, their Christian beliefs or family values and things of that nature, excuse me. But it doesn't mean that all Republicans despise the LGBT community. It doesn't mean that all Republicans despise Black people or Black women or women in general. But unfortunately, there is a greater number, as we have seen. There have been many studies and surveys. There's a greater number of Republicans that do have those antiquated and closed-minded belief systems. You know, and when I say antiquated, they believe that there are some Republicans that believe that Black people should be enslaved again. There are Republicans who believe that women should not have the right to their body, and that they should be subject to a man. And if that man is 40 and wants to marry the 12-year-old, that he is right for doing so. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Unfortunately, there are some Democrats that are on that same crazy train. And I'm gonna call it what it is, because that is a crazy train. We're not gonna sugarcoat some of this stuff. I can be an objective speaker. I have no problem with that. I'm very rational. But there are gonna be some things that we're just gonna say, we call foul. I need to go get my referee whistle. Foul. Right? These things we calling foul on. There shall be no more enslavement. No. We're going to stop all forms of enslavement. We're going to stop them all. We want to stop human trafficking. We want to stop drug addiction is also enslavement. But yeah, we want all of that stuff to stop. Yes, honey. That's those are things that we can finitely, we don't debate both sides of that topic. We just, no, ma'am. Like one of my favorite TikTokers, no ma'am, right? I actually need to ask him to do a cheer for it. You know, no more slavery, no ma'am. He do his head like this, I love it. No ma'am, okay? All right, so, but what I'm getting at is that it is a beautiful thing that they actually already have the tally. Normally when I go to the websites, what I have to do is I actually have to go through and count it all. So this is beautiful. And maybe intuitively, this is what led me here, to understand and appreciate, again, what my parents taught me and apply it in this situation. Now, I don't know if I can apply it, you know, right now, wholly so, you know what I mean? Because I'm not really sure if, you know, we take a deeper dive and find out, you know what, it was just smoke and mirrors, honey. It was just smoke and mirrors. But having this up front, in my opinion, shows a lot of transparency. They want us to know. I don't think that is haphazard. I think that stands to reason. I think that all scientists, social scientists, research scientists would agree here. Remember, I do have a background in behavioral psychology. There's an intention here, because they don't have to put this here. There's no need to put that there. It's, you know, it's relevant, but definitely not necessary. We argue that it is necessary for the purpose that we assert, which is for the diversity and quality that we want to see in our legislative bodies. But there is no legal requirement for them to list how many, well, of course, the partisanship, that's just, it's not a legal requirement to list it. Well, actually, it may be embedded in the law, but you see what I'm saying? Not so much as promulgated, hey, this is how many and how many, right? But there definitely is no legal requirement for them to say, hey, we have this many men and this many women in our legislative body. So that then stands to reason that is intentional. That is a great sign. And I'm glad to see that. I'm really, really glad to see that. Still not even, it's not 20, it's not, so what, 35 total is what they have. So we don't see 17 and 18, but 10 women. Hey. All right. So let's see what we got here though. And it is still concerning that there's only 7 Democrats, but let's see who the Democrats are. All right. And we know the majority leader would be for the majority partisan group, right? So this majority leader then is what? Republican. Boom. Okay. So, and then you have a minority leader, which would be Democrat. So we'll do that survey instead of the normal tally, the way I do it. All right. So we have, the minority leader, assistant minority leader. I'm a little concerned they don't have them. Okay, so they have them in alphabetical order, but not necessarily in order of their leadership. I'm actually kind of here for that too, because most of the websites show the leadership first. Some of the websites, even if you go back to my video, some of these states only show their leaders. And the leaders don't make the decisions alone. They're not there. They're not like this lone island. They're not the president of Idaho. We're not doing that. And even the president is limited to decision making unilaterally, right? So I like the fact that they are listing them in alphabetical order. It seems like it was an objective decision. That's what it stands to reason, as opposed to listing everybody who's in charge. So I'm with that too. I like this. I like this a lot. Okay, so, but they're not giving us oh, there it is. Okay, because normally it's a R, or I guess I need to put on my glasses, honey, don't I? Put your glasses on, Tigress. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm doing it. Here we go. I'm doing it. Oh, I did it. I'm doing it. Okay, so R, we're trying to get to the Democrats and see what they look like. Okay, it looks like most of the Republicans are white men, women. Okay. Interesting. I want to look, I don't know, I'm something's taking me there. Okay. Seems like we should know more about her. Maybe I'm seeing agricultural affairs and I'm just delighted. But she's got a BA in business. She's not a scientist. I was there for that. But I love the fact that she's a mother of 3. That's beautiful. Okay. Because we can, honey. Yes, we can. Okay. Let's see. I like the fact here, even though Republican, there is a woman who is the assistant majority leader. We've not seen that in any of the states that we've traveled to. So this is a good look. Let's see what she's working with here. Degree in communications. Yes, PhD. She's doing it now in public policy and administration. Let's see. Serves on a lot of boards. She's got 2 daughters. She also worked for the Idaho State Department of Agriculture. Her master's is in instructional and performance technology. Okay, Abby. I just want to know how you feel about Black folk and women's rights. And I know you're a woman, because remember, keep in mind, there's some women who don't believe in the equality or equity for women, right? There's some that don't believe that a woman's right to choose for her body, right? So this is interesting. Keep on going. Here we go. All right. So white men here. Okay, so we do have one white woman for Democrats. Looks like she's has a Juris Doctor, and she's a member of the state bar. Yes, a licensed attorney. Oh, I like Allie already in this regard. Go, Allie. She is an executive director of Jesse Tree, a Treasure Valley nonprofit dedicated to preventing eviction and homelessness. Yeah. Former staff attorney for Bay Area communities addressing homelessness. Y'all know that's my jam. Because my father, he battled with homelessness after his enlistment. There's something that, happened to him. This story is unfortunately too prevalent amongst too many veterans. That'll be a conversation for another time. All right, served as asylum and refugee officer for the Department of Homeland Security. Honey, we could go have lunch. Yes, we could, and do some positive things covering details on the U.S.-Mexico border. For those of you who are new to this platform, I'm a former ranger working at only border parks, Shenandoah National Park and Oregon Pike Cactus National Monument. So, yeah, she's speaking my jam here. And I don't think that she's Caucasian. We're going to look up the last name. I don't want to say Rabe, and I don't want to say Robbie. I don't want to mess this up. The last name, origin, German. Okay, so go to pronunciation, because I don't know how to pronounce it. Look at that. That's how we doing. That's how we living life right now. Go ahead and play.
Rabe.
Right. Oh, see, sometimes when we do, that's why you do. And this is the point of this, is instead of assuming the ass, that one, making the ass out of you and me, you research. It's okay to do research. Some research, is evilly, driven or, motivated. But there's research that is sound and intentional and purposeful and respectful and considerate. Her name is Rabe, right? Her name is Rabe. Her name is Rabe. Okay, here we go. Her last name is Rabe. Let's go back to where we were. I'm impressed. Okay, I'm not even gonna just do it alone. I'm going to actually post their entire, look at that. I think we're going to spend, so in the second video, I'm going to cover 2 states. We're going to see, this is going to be another kind of overlapping, because I think this is why intuitively I was led here. Interesting. I was going to just say that I was going to post hers alone, but I'm not feeling that. I feel like we need to see what Idaho is doing here. Okay, and then you have Michelle Stinnett. That's a Democrat. I can't finitely identify her ethnic background. And of course, your ethnic background is always going to be diverse. Let's get to the truth of it. So I want to be clear about that. I don't want to just be, putting people in a box, because I hate those census boxes myself, considering the fact of, my heritage. But, I'm just, but we're trying to see, we do want to take a visual survey, because we're not there, you know what I mean? And this is also to encourage you all to engage your legislatures and know legislators and know who they are, what their background is culturally, ethnic, education, religious, politically, before they, got in office and while they've been in office. All those things are relevant. What have they done in the community? How do they roll? Can you see them in Walmart and they act like they got some damn sense? You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about, okay? let's see. So I'm seeing this, there's a French or a university in France. So I'm thinking that this is beautiful. She's definitely cultured, right? And not in, and I didn't mean to give an intonation to signify anything bad. I'm just saying that we don't know her ethnicity, but because she might, it looks like she might be African American and maybe French, or maybe French holistically, European. I don't know, but I'm liking the diversity here. This was intentional. Yeah, we got to spend some more time on it. We are. Here's another woman, Melissa Wintrow, higher education, women, held formal leadership positions as a women's center director. Okay. All right. We've seen enough to know that I feel kind of warm and fuzzy like that. Like, even though I'm seeing, you know, because this picture, let's go back to this picture. This picture is terrifying. I'm gonna suggest that Idaho stop. Don't do this picture no more. Don't do that picture no more. I'm gonna say don't do this picture no more, Idaho. Let that picture ride. Let that picture go. Keep this, Idaho. Even on the website and everything, I'm rocking with it. We're gonna come back. We're gonna take a look even further. Further is what we, right? Farther is distance. Further is what? All right, we're gonna get into it. Right. Okay. So let me come on out of this and stop sharing here. Okay, stop share. And y'all, I think we're on to something here. We are on to something here. So join me later on this evening at 7 p.m. and we're going to go on back over to Idaho, and then we'll I don't know, we might just jump a state. We might go on over to way over to New Mexico as well. For whatever reason, that one popped into my my intuitive self earlier today as well. So we might as well stick with it. All right. Yay! This is so much fun. I hope you are finding politics now not to be such a type of subject matter and content. I know all this wonderful content is out there, but y'all, it's time to make being engaged, intentional in the political system, everyday stuff. Like, it needs to be our everyday, not just something we do when we have, you know, those high profile elections. You know that already, but we're talking about really, really engaging, not just doing it because, you know, now this, and I do rock with now this, but not just when they tell us, hey, look at this, hey, do this. Well, you need to do it on a daily basis. It needs to be something that you do regularly. All right. So I am your host, Tigress Sydney Acute McDaniel, and this has been yet another session of the 52-week series on how to implement a more perfect union. Join me tonight at 7 p.m.